Hello and welcome to the Story to Satori Breakthrough Show. Today we have a very interesting guest from all across the world. We have around 10 guests and with 10 guests with two additional surprise guests. And this is a show where I call it the Story to Satori Breakthrough Show. The reason being we are all going through different we have our own struggles, we have our pain areas, we have our own stories to share, which we have actually experienced it on a personal level. And not just this, because we have actually become aware that this story is what is going to give us that wisdom to move forward in life, not just in our lives, but in the lives of many people we are going to impact. So, so welcome again, all of you, and to the viewers and to the people who are going to listen as a podcast. I want to say that we have such a beautiful, plethora of things to offer. That we have interesting people from fashion designers to women and women empowerment coaches. We have wellness coaches. So let me begin one by one, and they're going to tell us their stories, and I'm also going to share a bit of my story. So I'm actually the host of Story to Satori, and I'm a mindfulness coach. So without further ado, I'm going to call in Seema Seal, who is the fashion and dance choreographer and who has participated in programs like Jhalak Dikhla Ja. So Seema, the stage is all yours. Can you unmute and start speaking?
Yeah, sorry. Firstly, a very good evening to all of you. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I thank Janvi Katti for giving me this platform, beautiful platform to speak about my experience and share with all of you out there. So firstly, let me introduce myself. I'm Seema Seal, married for 30 years. I'm mother of two grown-up girls and a wife of doting marine maestro. Now, my journey is it's a very, I'm sure you people will be also relating to it. It's more on girl child. Now, let me share with you my experience of life. Well, I come from a family where we were three sisters, and unfortunately, my father wanted sons. He was not very happy with three daughters. So as a result, our upbringing was a very humiliating and very bad behavior from our father, because since he didn't have sons, his desire, so it all came on to daughters. So that from that perspective, that experience was very bad during our growing years, and that actually left a very indelible mark in our minds. So and in that journey, I lost my mom also. So again, I saw the actual true color of my father, the main protector person she left. So as a result, my father also was further, he could do his kind of bad behavior. He started to shower it on us. But anyways, time flies. My elder sister got married, I got married, and in fact, it's been 35 years. He's not in touch with us, and neither is bothered to even find out how we are doing. But that actually didn't stop me from growing. Those particular growing, those kind of humiliations, those kind of behavior actually has made me a very strong person mentally. And as a result, I thought I need to do something for others, and that's how I started my own journey. I launched my own company because at the age of 50, I think age is just a number. It's never too late to start anything. And that's how, if I can empower other women who have similar issues, similar problems, who have a self-esteem issue, don't feel worthy about themselves, who feel that they want a platform but they don't know how to get over there. And that's how my role comes into, and that's how I launched my own company, where I'm a fashion and dance choreographer. I'm always looking for those women who need to be triggered. They have a personality, but it has to be enhanced. It has to be supported. It has to be acknowledged. It has to be respected, loved. So that's the reason I thought, let me start something related to fashion and dance. Dance is my passion, and of course fashion came in much later. I had this vision much of a very young age, but now I put it to good use. So I said, let me, why not try and get into the plunge of starting something of my own and help out the women out there who really need these kind of things, where they need to enhance their confidence level, because I come across a lot of women, they have so many things in which is hidden. It needs to be triggered and guided well. So that
Seema,
is my
I have a
journey.
question. Seema, wonderful, wonderful to hear that beautiful journey of yours, which you have really lived it, and you never gave up. You know, you never gave up, and you said, "I'm going to do something. I'm going to create a difference." So how do you think, you know, we as women or men, whoever it is, we are all sitting at home now in this pandemic,
Yes.
and we tend to
Yes.
get, you know, clumsy. We feel, you know, it's okay. You know, I can wear my nightgown or I can just wear pajamas and sit. So how to feel that positivity, and how do we dress up and add some, you know, kind of color to that with some light makeup or whatever? Can you just give me a tip for all of us, you know, a quick tip?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Which I personally believe, and I also do believe, because I'm also in the same scenario as you, all of you. But the thing is, you have to keep your spirit always spiked up. If you don't spike up your spirit and you don't give importance to yourself, these kind of feelings are always going to knock at you. That you will feel, oh, it's not required. Why should I dress up? Why should I? It's okay, it's fine. But no, you have to give first importance to yourself, which I did when it was my family. Even if you are having kids, but I never neglected myself. It was a parallel. Growing with the kids, even I was growing. So I never neglected myself. I gave prior importance. I gave more importance to myself, because I realized in a family, if a mother or a wife is more, gives importance to herself, be it dressing up or thinking positive, even the family also has a very good positive vibe with the family. It has a very long lasting
Yes,
effect with my even in your surrounding with your friends. So these kind of things are very important. First, give importance to yourself. Rest can fall
wow,
into its places. That's my thing
thank
to
you.
everybody out there. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for that. Thank you for that powerful message. So we see
Thank you
that you really don't look your age, whatever you said, you know that. So you look half of it.
so much.
So I am,
Yeah.
thank you for those powerful nuggets. I want to call on Reena Saxena now. We have, she is she wants to impact people with financial wellness, she says, and she's a money coach. So how can we create financial goals, Reena, in this pandemic, sitting at home? How can we create, or do we ever create money goals?
If I have to sum up the journey of the last few months in one word, it will be reprioritization. When we advise people, for all along, I had to shift the focus from talking about long-term goal planning, staying with investments, to suddenly saying that now you need to have a contingency fund. That is on priority, even if it means stopping SIP, stopping some other investments. And I guess the message has gone down. It's deeply entrenched. Even in future, I don't see people blocking their funds in illiquid assets. Not too much in things like real estate and government bonds for 10 years and all that, but something where you can get the money when you need it. So that message has gone down. Now what remains is giving people the tools on how to achieve it according to whatever circumstances they are. And regarding money goals as a business, I had to learn how to think small. There was no other way. The focus has been on learning, doing things like digital marketing, making videos, learning a lot of tools all by yourself, uh, changing the content, whatever was planned for workshops and seminars, to online content, because there's no other way out now. So it has been hard work. It means a lot of delays, but I can't afford to hire too many people right now, except for a freelancer here and there. So this is the time actually when I really understood what is the meaning of Ikigai. The coaches all here know about it. What is your calling? What is your competence? And what is the world willing to pay you off? So at one stage, I thought my calling was coaching and writing. Those are the things I like doing.
Okay.
But my core competence is finance, because I come from a banking background. So Money Goals is a venture born out of that, where I will write ebooks on finance. I will do financial coaching on a one-to-one basis, plus financial education on a larger perspective, or whatever we call training or webinars and all that continues. So that has been my journey, and it has changed tremendously in the last few months.
Wonderful. I love that way you have combined, you know, your coaching, your core skills of coaching and your financial background, and you've created your own niche. And so we would like to ask you, you know, maybe one or two questions in the end, and where we want to get some practical tips on, especially now, suppose you are not earning, people are losing jobs, and where is the question of a contingency fund, and what do they do then? How can they think about money? Because that becomes a real block for many of us, right? So now going ahead, thank you so much, Reena. We have Rupika Bhargav from Singapore. She is a parenting coach, as well as she is a coach who believes in intention, and how you can actually build your day with intention, start your day with intention. So can we have Rupika?
Hi everyone, good evening to you all. Yeah. So actually, I will start when I first came to Singapore as a young mother of a 1-year-old child, and back in 1996. And what happened was I had my own share of fears. How am I going to raise my kids here in a city where like whose culture I don't know, who are the people whom my kids will be mingling with. So there were a lot of fears and all those things. What is the education system like? So as a homemaker and living with my son, and again I had a daughter in 2000, so with 2 children supporting, and it was like became too cautious, like to be more mindful. And with all my fears, my children were very different. So they posed up a lot of questions of why on me. And with all those reasoning and talking to them, it happened that I came to see all my fears and all my beliefs and underlying patterns which I was carrying, and which are no more like working for me as a parent. So it became like I went through a big breakthrough, and it happened that now my kids and myself, we all are so interconnected. And I had 2 lovely children. One is 25-year-old boy who is a theater artist. And an actor.
Yes.
And he's pursuing his career in media studies and acting. And my daughter is doing PPE, and I'm very proud of them. So I take people in their journey to be more self-aware and raise their intuition to do parenting, because everyone has their own unique way of parenting. And I take them through the exercises and see themselves more clearly and be more aware, then to raise their kids forward. So I do the community work also here. And in Indian Administrative Executive Committee, I have a parenting interest group, which there are like 30-35 parents participating, and there are many more to come. So, and personal sessions I also take for parenting.
Okay, that was really nice and short. Thank you so much, Rupika. Thank you. And she's been featured on Colors TV, and I've seen, she's doing awesome work. So next we have.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we have Geeta Krishnan from Mumbai, and who was in US, and she is a gratitude leadership coach, and who teaches and trains and coaches people into how leadership starts with being grateful to what you have. So Geeta Krishnan, so can we have you? The stage is yours.
Sure. Thank you so much, Janvi, for the opportunity to share. And it's an honor to bring people closer to gratitude, because gratitude, as I perceive, and I've lived my life, like right from, I was born and brought up in Mumbai, and my grandma and my mom were great support system and inspiration at the same time. And I've seen them, roll out their love and affection, not just to us, but to everybody. So it's more like appreciating, and the flow of gratitude, the essence of gratitude has been there just even in our value systems. It's ingrained in our value systems. And as you observe, and as I moved to being a corporate trainer further up, I picked up understanding of, and also observing there's so much of angst and so much of envy, and also people wanting to pull each other down. And at a point, there was this scenario which happened where I was interacting with a group of participants, and none of them seemed to be too interested or wanting to do the activities, the work. It was a team building program and a very happening program. And unfortunately, none of them were so engrossed or wanting to do. And I was perplexed, and I took a couple of them closer to me during the break. I was talking to them, and I realized that they had already been offered the pink slip. And they were just given, or rather were attending the program just to make them feel good. And that was something which really bothered me, because that at some point it felt that in organizations, employees need to be more appreciated. There should be more of attitude. There should be more both the ways. It's not just the employers, but even the employees. They should want to be working in the organization as opposed to have to work in the organization. And that really motivated me to full on go into gratitude leadership, leading with a gratitude mindset. And right now, especially in this COVID situation, Janhavi, we are all so bothered, you know. And very importantly, when we look at gratitude, the gratitude mindset, that has changed my life in an immense way. Even right now, when I'm talking about in spite of being the COVID mindset and the pressures and the negativity around us, gratitude has kept me positive. It has given me and opened up doors. I've started a new venture. It's called Grateful Soul Media, where we are starting off with writing anthology books, offering it to authors to come on board and write their gratefulness stories, opening up to video marketing, doing stuff for them. And apart from that, I have a gratitude radio show that you're aware of, which has been running for the last 5 years. We started off as Dynamic Growth with Gratitude and transitioned to Gratitude Radio. So it is just opening up doors, because you are being positive. You are in the gratefulness mode. You're grateful for whatever you have. Right now, I'm grateful that I'm able to share my message with all of you. I'm able to reach out to each and every one who's listening to us. And even if one person is being positively impacted, that is all that we want. So thank you so much for the
thank you so much. And I would like I'm so grateful that all of you have accepted the request to be on this show and share your journey so far. And this really wonderful. I know a lot of you we have been friends as coaches, and we have shared our journeys. We have actually been in the same school. Rupika and me, we all studied in the same coaching academy. So moving forward, I think the gratitude is the place we are in right now. And that's why I think we have attracted this breakthrough show. And let's have Shalima Motial. She is a great personality with a lot of acting background. And she will tell you more. She's in Singapore, and she motivates a lot of women to become actors, to become artists. So Shalima, can we have you? Shalima, are you there?
Thank you so much, first of all, for this brilliant. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So it's already a pleasure listening to the three speakers before me. I'm from Singapore, and I see Rupika and Seema here as well. Seema and I go a long way back. She's been part of my. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
So Seema's been part of Dreamcatcher's journey as well. She's been a gorgeous runway model with us. And I so relate to Geeta's theory of gratitude, because I maintain a gratitude journal myself. And I so believe in the attitude of gratitude. It's brilliant. So my journey has been of an entrepreneur for a very long time. As a placement consultant, I had my company back in India for 3.5 years. I've been a fashion designer. I've had a role in PR companies. I've been a cabin crew, flying in the airlines as an air hostess for 3.5 years. And I'm a postgraduate in English literature. And now alongside Dreamcatchers, which is an online talent showcase company and also an events company and theater production company, I am also pursuing my own passion of, acting. So Rupika, maybe you can tell your son to be a part of Dreamcatchers event, since we organize theater in Singapore. We've successfully done, 2 such big shows in Singapore called Timeless Tales. And what I personally believe in is, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And through Dreamcatchers, that is exactly what we are trying to achieve, providing a platform for artists, be it singers, dancers, actors, stand-up comedians, uh, women empowerment through, 5 seasons of Runway Mom, Runway Lovers that we had. The USP of that was non-competitive. So there was so much positivity around that because nobody was being judged. And everybody wanted to uplift everybody, when they were a part of that. They learned so much, they grew so much in the process. I've done loads of events with ZTV in partnership with them. We had iVenture, so provided a platform for entrepreneurs. So my, journey has been of providing a platform for women, for entrepreneurs, for artists. And in turn, I've been blessed with so many beautiful people coming in my life and teaching me things throughout my journey. So what awesome. That keeps me, that's how it keeps me motivated, that Confucius said, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. So I've always had this no harm trying attitude. Any new challenge comes up, any new idea comes up, I'm like, let's try it, let's give it a shot. What will happen? What's the worst case scenario? It'll not be successful. So be it, at least you will not go to the grave thinking, oh, I should have done it. I should have given it my best shot. Most of the time we regret the things we don't do in life instead of the things that we do.
Wonderful, so, yes, wonderful, Shalima. I think, we have, so be it, we're going to have this wonderful conversations going forward. We're going to have more. So we want more people to come in. Thank you so much for sharing that space of yours, Dreamcatchers, beautiful name. We have, the next is Divya Raman. Divya Raman is all about going within. Divya, can you hop in and jump in, please, and talk about yourself?
Yeah. Hi, Janavi. Hi, everyone. Hi. So, to add to what Geeta said, gratitude to be here amongst such high achieving women who have been doing so wonderfully. First and foremost, I identify myself with just one principle, that it's all within you. Whatever you do, wherever you are, it's all within you. It's up to you. Let me give a little background here. It all started when I was a kid. I am in a family of overachievers. All my cousins, everyone, be it academics, be it sports, be it singing, they were all overachievers, and I was the ugly duckling. And you know how relatives always rub it in your parents' faces that their kids are always much better than yours. So that happened. And my parents did their best not to compare me to the others. But still, I realized somewhere I had to make up for my poor academics and other track records. And I started being there for my parents for everything that they needed. My dad needed an new internet connection. I would be there. I would go out, look out for all the possible plans, get him all the options available. My mom needed any groceries or vegetables. I would go out, be the best bargainer, get her things for the best price available. And all this was out of my comfort zone because I've always been an introvert. I have never been comfortable interacting with people outside of my immediate zone. So in spite of that, I got out of the zone. I could do some things. And later on, I realized this is what is being resourceful. No amount of academic percentage or a sports record will give you this. Life is only what will teach you this. And this all came from me. Nobody told me, Divya, go out and do this. Nobody told me, Divya, go out and bring that for me. It is all within me. The next thing is marriage. This is one of my most important milestones. You know how the relationship between a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law is the most trickiest one?
Divya, we are losing you. I mean, we can't hear you, Divya. We lost her. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we couldn't hear you.
Okay. So for the first couple of years of my marriage, the first thing I would do after I woke up is check my mother-in-law's horoscope. If the premise here is if she has a good day, so will I. If she doesn't, so I won't. So that was how I lived. And then one day I realized this isn't my family. If I'm living in a constant fear, this is not where I want to bring my kids up. So then slowly I started to understand where she is coming from. She is old, she has a mentality of her own. And sometimes she is being mean to me, though I don't deserve it. But it's not about me. She is a prisoner of her thoughts. She has something, she wants to get it out. It's not that I am bad. It's just that she wants an outlet for it. That is all there is. So all this added to my journey of moving inside, of looking within me. Three most important things for me to realize that it's all within me is, first one, be ready to say yes. When Janvi asked if I wanted to be a part of this, I said yes. Of course, there's a lot of fear. Being amongst so many of you who have done a lot, my experience in life is nothing compared to all of you. My achievements are nothing. But still, I said yes because first point, I realized I could do better. I deserve better. I knew I could do better. And the second thing, most important thing that my mother-in-law in marriage taught me: when someone is being mean to you, it is not about you at all. It is about them. Keeping these things in mind. So whenever some things happened that upset me, I started diverting my energies and focus elsewhere. I started involving myself in activities and hobbies that I had never done before.
Divya,
so today I can sing.
Divya, we have very little time. That's the thing, you know. So we're coming on top of the time, and sorry to cut you, but then we're going to go deeper into these stories, Divya. I really look forward to listening to your awesome story. I know it's very empowering, that Saas Bahu thing, which is very common. We want Neeta now to jump in and share her story. She's been a teenology coach. Neeta, can you just come and share your story?
Yeah. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for all sharing the journey. So for me, teenology plays a very major role because I belong to a UPI community when I was born, and I could relate to Seema's story of having three siblings, and I am also three siblings and the last unwanted girl child. So it was very, very much essential that there is lot of destruction happens only and only through your own people, your own blood, and only through your own parents and own siblings. And the whole journey, every time, it is not any time outside, it is always from inside. And inside, say, it goes outside. It did not stop there, and as soon as being into UPI community, getting married, and then undergoing a divorce because I did not look beautiful. I was not beautiful as per the norms of my husband, so I was divorced. And again divorced with a girl child. What? So then I started my journey of getting into therapies, doing counseling, and that is how my journey has begun. And now there is nothing to look back, nothing to think about, and I'm so blessed that as my daughter grew up, my daughter remarried me, and God has been so kind, and everyone has been so kind, including all my friends year out, that she got me remarried, she got me settled, and now it's my 7th year of my remarriage, and it's just going awesome. God has been.
We're going to actually acknowledge that, and we want to have more such deeper stories. Neeta is a very, very powerful.
Yes.
So these are just I mean, we're meeting for the first time. You know, we are all.
Yes. These are just snippets.
Yes. We're going to go deeper. So now we have Manjushri. Manjushri, thank you very much, Neeta, for that powerful story.
Thank you. Yes.
Welcome. You're welcome. So Manjushri is all about how to love yourself and love your life the way it is. Accept. Manjushri, we want your story quick and short and quick. Manjushri, are you there? Oh, I don't think we have Manjushri. Okay, I think she has not joined the call. Vinaya Mitragotri.
By the way, Janvi, your meeting has been extended to unlimited. We got that message.
Is it? Wow, that's a beautiful thing. So then we can go on a little bit, maybe. And so Vinaya, if Vinaya is also, she was there in the call and she dropped out of the call. I saw her, she was there. And Krishna, are you there?
Janvi, am I audible?
Yeah, you are. We all are. Krishna, can you just unmute your...
Yeah.
And then we'll see Vinaya's story going forward. Yeah.
So, hi everyone, how are you doing all?
Yeah, good.
So that's the Josh. Nice to see you all happy. So my story started with a small boy being entered into the field of arts and then going shifted to the spirituality. So I started my journey with being an artist of Bharatanatyam, and in a very tender age of 8 or 9, I was in this dance form, Bharatanatyam, and it was a tremendous change which has been there in me since I joined my practice. My all scopes and my whole belonging towards the spirituality has started through this art only. The way the Shiva comes, the way the Shakti comes, the inner meaning of the self and the inner meaning of the cosmic dance between them let me enter into the spirituality. Yeah, as we all know, the anything which happens in our life has a very basically in a child's life always have a very strong motivation and a strong hands behind them are mother's hand. So my mother, she helped me. She made me to come in this field to see it in a more deeper sense. Okay, so I was a child with a spiritual thinking as well as scientific approach. As I started my journey, I was thinking why in every single aspect we see science in context of spirituality. Anything what we say in spirituality, we add a word. Is this a scientific thing? Can it be applicable to our own? Can we analyze it? Can we make a attempt to do it with a scientific approach or not? So as a researcher, as a mind of a researcher, I started with it and I came up to the Sri Vidya tradition of spiritualism. So as I started, I was more into scientific approach. I started seeing it in a very better way, how it helps you to being a motivator of the cosmic power. Okay, how you can analyze your cosmic power, okay, and do or achieve anything whatever you want in this life. So being into this cosmic 1 second, my internet is unstable.
Yeah,
being
an
into
audio
this
problem.
cosmic
Krishna, we are not able to hear. There is some kind of a little bit of, you can just,
can you now, am I audible now?
Yeah, a little better.
Yeah, so as I came into this world of spirituality, I started being a more researchful person towards the cosmic life, towards the cosmic background of our souls, towards the cosmic way of thinking. So how we can transform ourselves through spiritual beings, not only being the materialistic aspects, but also being in the aspect of going inner transformation and inner capabilities and accepting yourself with all your capabilities and inabilities to do anything or not.
Yeah, I think I'll ask you a few questions in the end, So thank you very much, Krishna, sharing. And I think you're a student, right? Yet you're doing your
economics. I'm a student of Jain University doing my bachelor's in economics.
Great, wonderful, wonderful to share your spirituality and your dance. So we have Vinaya and Mitra Gotri. Can you just share your story, please? Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Vinaya, and good evening, everyone. I've been born and brought up in Goa, and I did my education from there itself. I've done my master's in English literature and a master's in HR. And I was fortunate in school to have wonderful teachers who helped me overcome my inhibitions. Major inhibition was lack of fluency in language, and I was never somehow neat and tidy in schoolwork. So my teachers helped me overcome this, and one of the teachers was instrumental in getting me to English. And she was the one who encouraged me to pursue English literature. And after doing my master's in HR, I took a job as a recruiter in a corporate. And there, on an average, I had to see some 50 or 60 candidates coming in. And while looking through the resumes of all these candidates, I could see a pattern emerge in their personalities. And what intrigued me the most was the signature of these people. And studying the signature, I noticed one fundamental truth there, that each of us has a self-image and a personality that is projected to everyone else, and it's a combination of the above. This is what we see in graphology. And going on, I started learning the basics. How do you get these 50, 60 resumes per day? What do you do with them? I started studying them. And I tried to correlate the traits of these candidates, what I see on paper, with the actual candidate coming in, talking to me. After the interview was over, these people would ask me for a feedback. Like, some successful candidates ask me, what is your opinion? What are my areas of improvement? And candidates who are not successful again ask me, what happened? Where could I improve myself? Now, on study, I would tell them, if at all they ask me for feedback, every single stroke on paper makes an impact. Now, when you talk about graphology, it's a study of personalities that's based on handwriting, that is an accurate examination and evaluation of behavior of one's inner self as well as of others. And I'm sorry, am I getting too technical?
A bit. Maybe you could just, it is very interesting, Vinaya. It's really very, very interesting. We want you to just be understood what you're saying. So we want you to say in a gist that how can we improve our, how can we become better individuals?
Closer to the system, the voice is feeble.
Yeah. So can we just, yeah.
Okay. What I was saying is, each of us can do our own behavioral analysis. Now, all of us have come out of situations and we have emerged winners. All of us know our positive as well as traits that need improvement. I would never address them as negatives. Areas of improvement. Now, when we have an assessment of both, we can find means to emphasize the positive traits, accept what is the area of improvement, request for feedback from the family or the closer people, and go on improving it. And when we write anything, it could be an application form, it could be your diary, or it could be any write-up that you're giving to anybody else, do it with a bit of mindfulness, a bit of positivity, so that it seeps into your writing.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
That should, I feel what your thought is happening is being reflected on the paper.
Yeah.
So
thank you. Thank you so much, Vinaya. Thank you. We had a great, kind of session with all of you sharing. All of you are sharing so well, and I felt we can go on and on. But then we had actually a time frame where we have come here for a purpose, and we understood that though we are so many people, almost 11, I would say we have 11 people, and 11 and plus a couple of guests, I believe, Suchika and Payal, whom we are going to bring them on next time. So don't worry. So we had this time constraint, and I want to just kind of paraphrase it and put it in a gist, saying that we don't have to look at things as negatives. We can always look, like very nicely put, by Vinaya, it's something like we are in a work in progress. We can keep improving on ourselves. We can become the better version, version 2, and we can use things like right from dressing up, keeping ourselves spick and span, and then having that kind of a ambience around us, a kind presence, bring a presence, have gratitude all the time, be thankful, and go towards spirituality, because I also personally believe that we are spiritual beings and human body. Take care of our finances, no matter what, even in these times. There are opportunities, guys, and actually there are opportunities around the corner. All that we have to do is open our eyes and dream. Like Shalima said, we need to catch those dreams, keep them safe in our heart, and not feel frustrated, and have that intention which Rupika talked about. Start the day with that intention. And Neeta also gave us that. Neeta and we have two people giving us their personal stories. We had Seema and Neeta's stories touched our hearts, and including Divya's stories. They may be it could be a typical story, but then we have grown from there, and we no more feel constrained that there is something like there is an external thing that is empowering us or overpowering us. In fact, it's the inside that is much more powerful, and which we can actually bring out a lot of things. And as a team, as a kind of a tribe, let's go forward and create wonders and breakthroughs. So on this note, I really want to thank all of you for being on the Story to Satori Breakthrough Show and shining your lights. And I'm really very happy, and we're going to catch up more times. This was just a gist. This is just a kind of, jhalak dikla ja, I would say. And going forward, we're going to catch our dreams. We're going to listen to more deeper stories, because we have gone much, much beyond all those petty stories. We are reinventing and recreating our stories. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janvi. Thank you, Payal, for being here.
Thank you, Doctor.
And let's all meet, collaborate, create, and co-create a good new world.
This is just the beginning.
Yes. Let's co-create.
Yes.
And let's be
so let's hug ourselves and tell I love you. Let's hug ourselves. Yes.
Thank you all. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care. Stay safe. See you again soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, keep connected.
Be connected.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye, Shrutika, and bye, Payal.